This is Scott Shirker for Cultural Energy. Cannabis hemp is a plant that has been used in human culture for thousands of years for food, fiber, and medicine. It has also been developed as a fuel alternative in the past few decades. The U.S. remains one of the remaining countries to refuse to allow its legal use for these purposes. The war on drugs, fought over the past century, has created a great deal of mythology and misinformation about its impact on individual health and society. Use for medicinal and industrial purposes has been recently made legal by several U.S. states. Many New Mexico state legislators have advocated for its decriminalization for years, and some progress has been made in this regard through several proposals in the state legislature over the past decade to do just that. The following presentation by Ruth Farbonk of Taos Hemp and Mark Moes, multimedia producer and organic gardener, present the facts, dispel the myths, and imagine the possibilities regarding this versatile plant. They spoke at the Taos Bioneers Conference in October 2006, sponsored by Sustain Taos.
Well, I'm sure you all wanted to meet a hemptress one day. That's probably one of the most important issues on your mind when you attended this conference. Teehee. The sovereign issue, I would like to talk about the politics and the sovereign issue after Mark is finished with the biomass biofuel, and then we'll present the film, Oyaku. Right now, I'd like to talk to you about this wondrous crop, Cannabis sativa L. It got named around the time of the Romans in Nero's time by his physician. But this crop has been around for at least 12,000 years, since to my today knowledge that is new, there was found in Nevada, one of our own states, a hemp mat in a burial mound. Now that says a lot for cannabis. They still found the mat after 12,000 years. Cannabis sativa L has a dual history. It's been labeled as a narcotic drug, and it has been called therefore it's devil's weed. It's been called devil's weed, and it was publicized as that. And it's also ditchweed. The tall Cannabis sativa L that grows up to 15 feet, it has a stalk filled with cellulose, 70% versus the tree pulp that you'll get cellulose for 30%. Now, this stalk has been all through Africa, Asia, Mesopotamia, and China, way back, 12,000 years ago. The Spanish brought the cannabis to Mexico and the Americas, Central and South America. And the common thought is that the English settlers planted the hemp in the U.S. when they came over and into Canada in the 1600s. Of course, when you find the 12,000-year-old hemp mat, that's a big question on your mind from there. It has a genus of two sexes. It has male and female flowers. The flowers are giving off the seed. It takes a little bit longer for the plant. Some companies, like in Canada, the ones in Germany, there's in France, England, it's Eastern Europe, Romania. They're growing the plant for seed and fiber. You can do both. It depends on what kind of equipment you have and what kind of seed. There's a seed that's very good for just producing seed of the top quality. And there's seed that's for the fiber more. I'm getting my fiber from Romania. There's you can get about 100 to 300 plants when you're planting hemp per square yard. And that's the industrial hemp. The Indian hemp they called marijuana. And that typically is a shorter plant. It's densely branched, and it has a solid stalk. It's not good for fiber. It has the THC in it, tetrahydrocannabinol, and that is what makes it a drug, according to the Controlled Substance Act of 1970. And we'll get into the politics of that with the industrial hemp. Hemp grows so tall, and it's not possible to grow marijuana for a high THC content in a grove of industrial hemp. It shades out the medical, that it's not going to produce the THC resin. And the food, the seed, we were talking about how we're all connected. You were talking, Louis, about how we're all connected. We're all so connected in our body. This body is so vital to keep going and to have life. And the old saying, we are what we eat. Well, the hemp seed gives so much of itself to feed our brains. It feeds every part, and in the womb is our beginning, and the tiniest cell gets nurtured in hemp. And it doesn't have any of these side effects of the pesticides, the herbicides, the pollution, the mercury. It's a non-GMO seed. And the processing of foods has become so much that it's all driven by how long can we keep this food on the shelf. That drives the food processors. So we've got our saturated fats and our refined oils. The no-fat, the low-fat, the synthetic fat foods, they all fail, whereas hemp doesn't fail, because it's going to give you the fat that our brains want. They're called essential fatty acids. In short, they're EFAs. And most of Americans, 90%, it's given in a statistic, take in way too little essential fatty acids. And we surely want our brains to work now more than ever. We've got to find ways and means to get around all this negativity and lies. So the health revolution is believing in fats. It's believing in the fats that are essential fatty acids. And hemp seed has the highest concentration. 80% of the total oil volume in hemp. 8% is a saturated fatty acid. But we've got the alpha-linoleic acid, LNA, which is your omega-3. This cannot be put in sunlight, heat, or oxygenated. It's got to be kept cool with the seed. It keeps it much. This is the vitalness of the seed. I've had seeds passed out. You can go to the display over at Taos Hemp and try some of the seed. It's fabulous. There's the hulled and there's the unhulled. So with the omega-3, the hemp seed has a 19% omega-3 content. And the linoleic acid, the LA, is the omega-6. And with the EFAs, you want a 3-to-1 ratio with the omega-6 to the omega-3s, and hemp gives you that. The hemp seed oil is 57% omega-6. So about 2 to 6 teaspoons a day, and of these 6, you take this and put in a smoothie. You can put the seed in with your alternating soy milk or your almond milk or rice milk, and mix that up, and you've got your EFAs for the day. And what do EFAs do? They help the skin, which is our largest organ. They help learning ability because of the brain food. They'll level out our blood pressure. They help with edema. They help get our mental acuity up and increase our metabolic rate. And they help our immune system fight off diseases. This is why it's so recommended for people who are on they're a cancer, they have a problem, they have cancer, they have AIDS. This will boost the immune system if they're getting radiation or chemotherapy, taking any other pharmaceutical drugs. The big thing about food, too, is you always have to combine food. So combining hemp seed with your greens and your minerals, you can get a complete protein. We know the rice and beans in New Mexico is a complete protein. But getting these essential fatty acids is very necessary. You don't cook with hemp oil. You want that to be a cool food. Your safflower oil has your omega-6s in it at 75%. So you can cook with safflower and get the rest mixed in with, let's say, flaxseed oil has a high omega-3 content over hemp. So why not take the 57% 6 of hemp in the omega-6 and then mix it with your flax? Because then you're getting a really high mixture there. When we go for the seed,
have advocated for its decriminalization for years, and some progress has been made in this regard through several proposals in the state legislature over the past decade to do just that. The following presentation by Ruth Farbonk of Taos Hemp and Mark Moes, multimedia producer and organic gardener, present the facts, dispel the myths, and imagine the possibilities regarding this versatile plant. They spoke at the Taos Bioneers Conference in October 2006, sponsored by Sustain Taos.
Well, I'm sure you all wanted to meet a hemptress one day. That's probably one of the most important issues on your mind when you attended this conference.
This is Scott Shirker for Cultural Energy. Cannabis hemp is a plant that has been used in human culture for thousands of years for food, fiber, and medicine. It has also been developed as a fuel alternative in the past few decades. The U.S. remains one of the remaining countries.
The sovereign issue, I would like to talk about the politics and the sovereign issue. After Mark is finished with the biomass biofuel, and then we'll present the film, Oyaku.
Countries to refuse to allow its legal use for these purposes. The war on drugs, fought over the past century, has created a great deal of mythology and misinformation about its impact on individual health and society. Use for medicinal and industrial purposes has been recently made legal by several U.S. states. Many New Mexico state legislators